Hello, hello, hello. All right. Welcome back, everybody. Good to see everyone again, or just you guys see me, I don't see you. But good to see you guys again. Glad everyone's back. We're back at Shoot the Hoot RAW. If you joined us for, from the mid to upper East Coast, congratulations on surviving what feels like 47 inches of snow, 3 sliding injuries, and at least one of those, why do I live here moments. I don't know about you, but when the snow piles up like this, you start to evaluate your life choices. Why did I choose here? Anyways, um, but here's the good news. Whether you're digging out of the driveway or just digging out of your inbox, you're in the right place right now. Because today we're not talking about ransomware explosions or Hollywood-style hacking scenes. No, 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 no. We're talking about the quiet storm. Oh yeah, the kind that doesn't come with thunder, the kind that it doesn't freeze your screen. The kind that just politely asks for money and then disappears with millions. So grab your coffee, shake the snow off your boots, and settle in. Because today we're diving into the business email compromise, the scam that doesn't break in, it persuades. So by the end of this episode, you'll see it coming before, you'll see it coming before it even lands in your inbox. So let's get started. All right, crew, fasten your seatbelts, tray tables upright, coffee secured. Here's what we're flying into today. First up, our 5-minute rant. No malware, no warnings, just millions gone. We're breaking down business email compromise, otherwise known as BEC. The scam that doesn't smash Windows, doesn't install ransomware, and it doesn't pop up skull and crossbones on your screens. It just politely asks you for money, and it gets it. Then we'll glide into the CyberHoot Nerd update. Sharper, faster, more flexible. What we've improved, what we've tightened up, and what's going to make your security workflow smoother than a freshly patched server. After that, open mic Q&A, pause, verify, and ask. This is your chance to throw the tough questions, or at least the ones you've been thinking about but didn't want to say out loud in the board meeting. And finally, our Hoot-worthy horror story. Zoom, not Zoom, Zoom, S-O-O-M, a PayPal subsidiary, $30 million gone. No ransomware, no breach headline, just persuasion, urgency, and one very expensive lesson. So buckle up, because today's isn't about hacking. No, it's about habits. So let's take off here. Let's clear something up right away. Business email compromise isn't some hoodie-wearing hacker smashing through your firewall. There's no red skull on the screen. There's no countdown timer. There's no your files are encrypted messages. Nothing crashes, nothing lots, nothing looks dramatic. In fact, everything looks perfectly normal. An email from a vendor, a payment update, hey, can you process this today? And that's the genius of it. BEC doesn't break in, it persuades. It studies your business. It learns your vendors. It watches your leadership tone. It waits for payroll cycle. It times requests around holidays. And then it asks for something that looks completely reasonable. No malware, no breach alert, no sirens, just a simple decision. That's what makes BEC so dangerous. It doesn't defeat your technology, it defeats your routine. And here's the uncomfortable part. BEC works because it uses psychology, not malware. Let's break it down. First, authority. So it's from the CEO, from your CFO, from the senior partner. These are all authority figures, right? And when authority speaks, what do? We move fast. We don't send in desk leadership, especially in high pressure environments. Next, we have the urgency. This needs to go out today. Wire before 4 p.m. Confidential, don't delay. Urgency, you know what that does? It shrinks time, the thinking time that you have. And when thinking time shrinks, guess what happens? Mistakes grow. Mistakes grow big time. And then, of course, the last one here, we have familiarity, right? It looks like your vendor. It references a real invoice. It matches your tone. Attackers, they don't guess anymore. They do research. These are planned, thought out, well done attacks. And then there's this big one here. They process blind spots, right? You're processing your blind spots. Finance teams are trained to process payments efficiently. Hey, how efficient is your department? This is how efficient we are, right? So they're not trained to challenge executives. They're not, they're not trained to delay the revenue, and they're not, trained to create this friction. They're trying to get things done efficiently. So attackers, they don't beat your firewall. They beat your workflow. They slide into the space between this looks normal and we should verify. You know what? And that gap there, that's where the money leaves. All right. So now Here's where this gets serious. Business email compromise isn't flashy. It doesn't trend on Twitter like ransomware, but year after year, it quietly causes more financial damage than almost any other cybercrime out there. The FBI consistently reports that BEC results in billions, but billions with a B, of dollars in global losses annually, often surpassing ransomware in total financial impact. And here's why. When ransomware hits, systems lock. People panic, right? You imagine the fire scene, everybody's running around. And instant response teams mobilize with ransomware. But when BEC hits, the money's already gone. There's no encryption. There's no screaming pop-up. There's no immediate chaos. It's just a wire transfer. And once those funds are moved internationally, oh boy, especially through layered mule accounts, recovery of that becomes extremely difficult, sometimes virtually impossible. And then comes the next shock, insurance. You can't have a conversation without insurance. Many cyber insurance policies now scrutinize BEC claims heavily. It's not just, oh, you had a problem, we'll pay it out. There you go. No. They ask questions. Did you verify the payment change? Did you follow internal controls? Was dual approval required? Was the training documented? If the answer is no, coverage may be reduced or even denied. That's why BEC is so profitable. It doesn't attach systems. It attacks decision making. It bypasses your technology. It bypasses the noise. It bypasses the drama. And it walks out with real money quietly, very quietly. Oh, all right. Enough of that doom and gloom. Let's talk about control, right? Because here's the truth. You do not stop business email compromise with a bigger firewall. Nope. You stop it with a better pause. Oh, hurry up and slow down, right? The most powerful security control in your organization isn't software. It's a habit. One, have a verification culture. This means it's normal, not awkward, to double check. If someone says, wire this urgently, the culture response is, happy to. I'll just verify first. It's not disrespectful. It's not slow. It's professional. Security should never feel like it's insubordination. It should feel like responsibility. Second, vendor change callbacks. This is really simple. If banking details change, you call the vendor using a known number, not the number in the email. Simple. Do this every single time. No exceptions for urgency, no exceptions for authority. This one habit alone stops most of the BEC attempts, right? So make the phone call to a validated number. Third, monthly reinforcements. You know why? Because habits decay. You don't train once and hope that it actually sticks. You reinforce. You reinforce how vendor spoofing works. You reinforce what urgent tone escalation looks like, and you reinforce when to escalate. 10 minutes of training a month beats 2 hours once a year, and repetition builds reflex. And fourth, simulated BEC testing. Absolutely. If you only simulate generic phishing, you're missing the real threat. You have to test, right? Fake vendor payment updates, executive wire requests, payroll change emails, train and test for what actually costs you money. Because here's the shift. It's not about catching someone clicking. It's all about building the reflex to pause. And that pause, that's what keeps millions in your account. Okay. Enough about losing money. Let's talk about what we've been coding to help you keep it, right? So what have we been doing to help you guys keep your money? Let's go over to our nerd update. All right, let's talk about what the owls have been building lately. First up, languages and localization. We cleaned up the video language mapping, fit some drop-down weirdness during assignment simulations, and standardized language codes. Oh, that's a lot of big words. What does that actually mean? Translation, fewer head-scratching moments and smoother global training. Next, sync logging improvements for Azure and Google. If someone tweets a sync setting now, we log it more clearly because I didn't change anything is the most common sentence in history. Now we got it logged. Now, let's talk about custom fish and attack fish upgrade because this is a big one. You can now update attack or active attack fish. So say that 3 times fast. You can now update active attack fish campaigns via API. Use new custom fish endpoints and export your custom Hoot libraries to CSV. And we fixed that also annoying test send error we were getting before. So in short, you've got more control with fewer hiccups in there. We also added branding override options so emails can better match your environment. Because If your phishing simulations look like they came from 2006 template factory, people will notice that. And user experience. Oh yes, let's not forget user experience. We added the confetti celebrations when users level up in the Hoot rank or they pass assignments. That's right. Security can now rain a little bit of joy down on people. Awesome. It looks great when you see it. And behind the scenes, API performance improvements, faster calls, smoother workflows, less waiting, more hooting. So yes, sharper, faster, more flexible, and slightly more festive at the same time. All right. I've talked a lot, saying a lot, and I'm going to keep going. That's what I do. All right. Enough about what we built. Let's talk about what you want to know. Time to open the nest for questions. All right. Let's see what we got here. That's what Thomas Steve is telling me here. Second channel verification is so important and one that most people don't think of. 100% agree, Steve. And that's the problem. One of the biggest things to stop BEC is stop and ask. Pause. Good point. All right. So, let's talk about your questions. So it's time to open up the nest for questions. Let's see what questions we have. Let's see. But first, got my but first. I always do my but first here. We go into my banners here. Boom. But first, I want you guys, whoever is gonna, be the first to email that pause 10 to shootthehoot@cyber.com. You get 10% off your Nest invoice. You type it in, click send, and get that 10. If you're not watching live, no worries. Email us about the topic, email us questions, email us the pause 10. I may give you the 10% off anyway. I'm a nice guy like that. Email me. I want to hear from you. All right. That's our nerd update. Let's talk about our Q&A now. So this is the part where I pretend that I didn't rehearse any of the answers in the shower this morning. And if you got questions about business email compromise, verification culture, vendor fraud, or how to actually stop money from evaporating, now's the time to ask the questions, right? And if nobody throws one out there, don't worry. I've got a few that I hear all the time. So let's dig into it. All right. First question. Let's see. Isn't this what our email filter is for? Great question. So email filters are fantastic at stopping malware and actually creating false positive in phishing tests. Ask me about the 4 or 5 hours I put into some work in the last 7 days on false positive phishing tests. But BEC emails, they often contain zero malware. There's no attachment. There's no sketchy link, just a believable request. Filters will block bad code. They don't block bad judgment, right? So that's why BEC is so profitable. It bypasses your tech and your target's trust. And to Steve's point, that second channel authority, really, really important. Next. If we train once a year, isn't that enough? Well, if BEC only happened once a year, maybe if you time it right. For attackers, they don't operate on your compliance calendar. Verification is a habit. It's not memory. That's why we push monthly reinforcement and simulated BEC testing. It keeps that pause and verify muscle very active. Because you don't rise to the level of your annual training, you fall to the level of your daily habits, right? And training on a regular basis, incredibly important. All right. Next question here. What's the single most effective thing we can implement immediately? Steve said it. I'm going to say it. It's callback verification for payment or vendor changes. Just call someone, right? If the banking details change, pick the phone up. Use a known number, not the number in the email, a known number, right? This is low tech. It's boring and it works. Why is Warren Buffett a billionaire? Because he did something very boring that works over a period of time. This is low tech. It's boring. It works. Do it. Sometimes cybersecurity is less AI firewall and more carrying an account and you just make a simple phone call. All right. Very, very simple. All right. No other questions right now. So we've talked about the mechanics of this. We've talked about the psychology. Now let's talk about what happens when routine vendor emails turn into a multi-million-dollar lesson. Turn this off here. Back to our slides. Boom. All right. Picture this. January 2015, which is already like 11 years ago. Crazy. You're in finance. You get an email from leadership. It references a confidential acquisition. It sounds strategic. It feels important. So process this wire transfer. It's time sensitive. Now, here's the twist, and there's always a little twist to it. The email didn't contain a malicious attachment. It didn't have a suspicious link. It didn't scream, scam, scam, scam. No, it relied on authority, urgency, confidentiality, the classic BEC trifecta. The employees filed instructions multiple times, apparently, as reports indicated that there were multiple requests like this. The end result, 30.8 million later, the funds are gone. Gone. And the worst part, from a technology standpoint, nothing was hacked. The company wasn't breached in the traditional sense. The process was breached. That's what makes BEC so brutal. It's painful. You can have firewalls, endpoint protection, MFA, email filter. You can have the best techies in the world and still lose millions if no one pauses, no one verifies, or no one picks up the phone. This wasn't a cybersecurity tool failure. It was a routine and process failure. And that's why culture beats technology every time. So that's the thing about BEC. It doesn't look dramatic until the bank account does. So before we wrap this up, let's lock in what actually matters. So today, it wasn't about fear. So sorry to put the fear fear into you guys. It wasn't about shiny tools. It wasn't about blaming users. It was about the truth. Business email compromise isn't hacking. It's persuasion. It beats routine. It exploits trust. It monetizes urgency. And it works. Not because companies are dumb or people are dumb, because they're busy, right? And so what stops it? What can we do to stop this? Verification culture, callback policies, monthly training reinforcement, simulated testing that builds pause into muscle memory, right? I talk fast, I speak fast, right? I can still pause when I have to. That was painful. That wasn't your computer internet problem, right? Because prevention, it isn't loud. It's disciplined. And when someone says, we're fine, you now know what to ask next. So before we flap off for the week, if this episode made you think, if it made you reconsider a process, if it made you want to implement verification training tomorrow, hit like, share it with your team, send it to the one finance friend who approves wires without blinking. And next week, we're going deeper. More habits, more culture, more ways to make security feel less like compliance and more like leadership. Until then, I want you to laugh. I want you to learn. And lastly, and really important, hoot up. Hoot up.